Hello friends, it's Kristie Marcotte. Spellbinders has a fun new release called Paint Your World. I selected 2 of the die sets and also the coordinating sentiment stamp set to play with. This first set is called Artful Tulip. It's my favorite since I love tulips. So it's this fun paintbrush and you can add some tiny little tulips in the bristle area. There's also the Artful brush, and it just has the basic paintbrush with the dripping paint. It even has the 2 little dies for a drop of paint. And here is the stamp set. This is called Paint Your World. Lots of great sentiments you could use all year round. Here's a look at the entire release. There are several other die sets available, and I will have links provided in the description box if you are interested in any of the products I use in this video. For card design number 1, I'm using the Artful brush die set. I'll be assembling 2 different paintbrushes, one with the pink paint and the other with light blue. Spellbinders always has such fun die sets. Lots of detail. Sometimes there are some tiny pieces to assemble, but I found this one pretty easy to use. I'm starting off with the main handle of the brush. And it's hard to see in the video, but it does have a fun etched wood grain detail on that handle. I used some silver mirror cardstock for the metal band, attached that using some double-sided tape. For the bristles, I cut out 3 separate pieces. I put more double-sided tape on the back of the handle and then attached those bristles. For the pink paint, I did decide to trim that portion down just a little bit. And I put double-sided tape on the back and attached it to the lower area of the bristles. So it looks like that paintbrush was dipped just partially into the pink paint. Now I'll do the same thing for the blue paint. Now on that one, I won't trim down that paint dripping piece. For most of the brush assembly, I found it easier to use the double-sided tape versus liquid adhesive. I think I would have had glue all over my craft mat if I chose the liquid adhesive. For my card, I will be using some pattern paper for the background, and this is from Sunny Studios' Spring Fling collection. I love these bright, cheerful colors. Put some ATG tape on the back and layer it on some pink cardstock. Then I'll add my card front onto a card base. And all of my cards in this video are American Standard A2 size. Next, I'll add a white oval die cut, and this is from Spellbinders' Fluted oval die set. I decided just to use the solid oval. I'll just adhere that to the card using some liquid adhesive. And I did cut out that oval from some white shimmer cardstock. Now I'll add both of the paintbrushes onto that oval. I'll start with the blue, and I'm putting both of them at an angle. So the blue brush is going to be tilted off to the left, and the pink brush will be tilted toward the right. I put some more double-sided tape on the back of the blue paintbrush and also a little bit of liquid adhesive. Now for the pink brush, I will be popping it up just slightly. I'm using some very thin foam dimension. So I flipped over the paintbrush since I won't be adding any of the foam dimension where it goes on top of the blue paintbrush handle. Then I'll add some liquid adhesive and adhere it to the card. With all of those layers for the bristles and the paint, I didn't need to add any foam dimension down there. Now I'll adhere just a few of the single paint drops. Put 2 of them for the blue and 1 for the pink. For the sentiment, I've already stamped this out, create something every day. And I'll be adhering it on the right side of the 2 paintbrushes. Part of the sentiment will sit on top of the handle. I'm adding some thin foam dimension on the back side. Then I'll adhere it to my card. And just on that very left side area where it's on top of the handle, I'll put some liquid adhesive. I love all the sentiments included on the stamp set. Many of them are perfect for giving a card to your crafty friend. For embellishments on the card, I'm adding a few pink enamel dots in the upper right-hand corner. I decided the paint needed to be sparkly. I'm using a clear glitter brush from scrapbook.com and adding it to all of the paint die cut pieces. So there is my finished card, and I did make 2 using this design. I love the bright colors, perfect for springtime. There are so many possibilities with the paintbrushes. You could even leave off the paint and just use the brushes on your card. For card design number 2, the pattern paper I'm using for the background is by Minte. This is their rainbow backgrounds. It has this fun linen texture. I'll be using the Fluted rectangle die set by Spellbinders. This is the largest piece. Now my background piece is a little bit smaller. It's 4 inches by 5¼ inches. I used some tape to hold the paper to the die, ran it through my machine, and now it has this fun etched frame all along the outside edge. Then I layered the pattern paper on some dark teal cardstock. I put some ATG tape on the back and also a thin line of liquid adhesive along that outside edge. Put my card front onto a card base, and I am leaving that 1/8 of an inch of the white card base showing. For a little extra detail, I'll be adding some Love from Lizzie peel-offs along the very inside edge of that fluted design. These are the silver moon dust color in the medium width. I am cutting the peel-offs just a little bit wider than my card, but I will be trimming that down. Next, I'll use the very tip of my craft knife and press it into the corner of those 2 crossing peel-offs, mitering those corners together to create this fun, shiny frame. I'll remove those little extra pieces, then firmly press my finger into the corners to make sure all of the peel-offs are laying down nice and flat. So there's my background. I can set that aside and start assembling my paintbrush. Now this one is a little different. When you cut out the base of the brush, it does have 3 different pieces. So I'm using the dark brown for the center of that handle, and then that same dark teal cardstock for the upper and also the very end of the handle where it has the little hole. I flipped over that handle, laid all those pieces together, and then adhered them using some double-sided tape. I put another piece of double-sided tape at the very top edge of the brush, removed the release paper, flipped over the brush handle, and now I'll start adding the leaves for the tulips. I cut them out from 3 different shades of green cardstock. I'm alternating the colors and different style of leaves. And once I get that nice and full, I can always add some in later. A couple of those leaves were still loose, so I did put another piece of double-sided tape on the back side. So I felt I still needed a few more leaves on the left side. And I have the 3 pieces cut out for the bristles, and those will go behind all of the leaves. So once I'm happy with how many leaves I have, I'll start assembling the tulips. There's 2 different pieces, and I decided to go with this very soft yellow color. My little brush will have 3 yellow tulips. So I'm adding some liquid adhesive on the back and tucking those flowers amongst all of the leaves. I'll also add a couple of the tiny leaf die cuts and put them along the bottom edge of the tulips. After holding up the brush, I felt I needed 1 more leaf on the left side. So I'll just add that in place. And I can flip this over and start attaching the bristles. Now you won't see a lot of the bristle, mostly just peeking through the flowers on the upper area. Put some double-sided tape on the back and also some foam dimension. There are a lot of layers with all the bristles, the leaves, and the tulips. By adding the thin foam dimension to the handle, it'll keep everything at about the same level. I'll remove the release paper, and before I attach it to the card, I will be stamping my sentiment. I'm using my Mini Misty, want to make sure to get a nice solid impression. And I'm using the sentiment, craftiness is happiness. I already had the placement for the sentiment, so I'll have plenty of room to add my little paintbrush. So just adhere that in place on the left side of the sentiment. Then to finish off the card, I'm using some Spellbinder gem stickers. This is the crystal mix. I'll add a few of them around the sentiment and 2 on the left side of the tulip area. So there is my finished card, and again, I did make 2 using this design. I love the tiny little tulips, and you could use those separately from the brush on a project. I think that would be really sweet. Now here's another look at the 4 cards I made using Spellbinders' brand new Paint Your World release. If you are interested in any of the products I use in this video, I do have links provided in the description box below. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.